In this video, we're going to show you how to replace your brake hose. It's located in the front of the vehicle, behind the wheel. To remove the wheel, we're going to use a 19mm socket. Make sure you place your lug nuts off to the side, somewhere that you're not going to get kicked around. Now simply remove the wheel. To keep the brake fluid in the system, we're going to depress the brake pedal with our foot and hold it with a pry bar against the driver's seat. Then you want to push the seat forward to secure the pry bar on the pedal. Remove the bolt holding the hose to the strut with a 12mm. We're going to loosen the bolt holding the banjo fitting to the caliper with a 12mm. Make sure you have a receptacle underneath to catch any of the brake fluid that drips out. After you remove the banjo bolt and the hose, make sure that you remove both crush washers, as you don't want to double gasket this. You can use a flathead screwdriver. Now we'll loosen the brake line fitting going to the soft hose using a 10mm. Now with a flathead screwdriver or a small pry bar, we'll remove the shim. Set that aside, it's got to go back in later. To install our new brake hose, we'll slide this end of the fitting into the bracket, and then we'll install the shim. Install the shim in the same orientation it was before. You can use a hammer to get this all the way in. Just be careful not to damage anything. Now we'll thread our brake line fitting into the hose. Be cautious when you're tightening this. You don't want to over-tighten the flange. We'll put our first copper washer on our banjo bolt. Install that into the hose. And put the other one on the bottom. Install this into the caliper in the same orientation you took the old one out. We'll tighten down the banjo bolt, being cautious not to over-tighten. Only tighten until you feel both crush washers seat. Reinstall the brake hose bracket back onto the strut. Be careful not to over-tighten this. We're going to move the seat back and release the brake pedal. Now we'll remove the cap from the bleeder screw. Set that off to the side in a safe place. We'll loosen the bleeder screw using a 10mm. We'll wait until we see drips coming out of the bleeder that have no air bubbles in them. We'll tighten down the banjo bolt. Be cautious not to over-tighten. Clean the brake fluid up from the caliper. You don't want this getting on the floor or on any paint. It's very corrosive. Make sure you put the cap back on your bleeder screw. Check your fluid level in the master cylinder Pump up your brakes and make sure they're firm. If not, perform a manual brake bleed. To reinstall the wheel, line up the lug studs. If you support the bottom of the wheel, and thread one lug nut all the way in, it'll hold the wheel for you. Now, snug down the lug nuts. Don't over tighten them because you're going to want to be able to torque them after. Now we're going to torque the lugs to 89 foot-pounds. You want to torque in a star pattern, keeping all of the lugs even as you bring them down. We'll wipe down the master cylinder so that we don't get any debris inside the fluid. Remove the cap. Check your master cylinder cap for the type of brake fluid. This application uses DOT3. There's a small screen filter. Remove that as well. You're going to want to get something to remove the fluid. We'll be using this extractor, but a turkey baster works just as well. Now that you've extracted all your old brake fluid, we're going to fill it with new brake fluid up to the fill line. Make sure you put your screen filter back in the reservoir. Next, we'll perform a manual brake bleed procedure, starting with the right rear, moving on to the left rear, then to the right front, and finishing with the left front. Now we'll remove the bleeder screw cap. We're going to loosen the bleed screw, but before we do, we're going to want to attach a hose or a receptacle to catch the fluid. Have an assistant pump up the brake pedal and loosen the bleeder screw with a 10mm. Once they let you know that they're holding the brake pedal, loosen the bleeder screw. Have your assistant let you know when the pedal hits the floor and tighten the bleeder screw back up. Repeat this process until the fluid looks clear and has no bubbles in it. All right, that looks good. Snug up your bleeder screw, clean everything down, and move on to the other side. Don't forget to replace your bleeder cap. After you've bled the rear calipers, top off your master cylinder. Just to the fill line. Then we'll move on to bleeding our other two calipers. Now we'll remove the bleeder screw cap. Set up your receptacle or brake hose to catch your brake fluid. Pump it up. Pump. And pump. All right, that looks pretty good. We'll remove our receptacle, being careful not to spill any brake fluid. Check that your bleeder screw is tight. We'll spray this area down with some brake clean and wipe it down with a rag. Replace your bleeder screw cap and do the same on the other side. When you've completed your manual brake bleed, Top off the master cylinder to the fill line. Just to the fill line. And replace your cap. Make sure you install your wheels and torque them to 89 foot-pounds, and then you can pump up the brake pedal. If it's not firm, perform the procedure again.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.